Hello and welcome to the fourth season of What's in a Story. And a big thanks to all the listeners, as it's all because of you that this podcast enters into its second year. I am Lopamudra Moitro, and in my podcast, I read the stories from my books as an anthropologist, writer, and translator working with popular culture and heritage of India and South Asia. And I introduce each story with some additional information from different fields of history, archaeology, geology, and others, which helps to bring a context to the story. I would like to add here that understanding this context is supremely important, as most of these stories from folklore took shape across several centuries and over a vast period of time. Many features were added to the narratives in this time period. Thus, before taking these stories as historical proof, one should be careful enough to understand the historical context as well as socio-cultural, religious, political context of the stories mentioned within each story. Across the last year, at most unusual places, it was nice to have met people coming up to me and speaking about the many stories that I have narrated across the last 1 year, and how they really like the stories as well as the books, my books from which I read them. The experience has not only been enriching but also greatly rewarding. I never thought it would be reaching out to so many people around the world what began as a small individual effort in last year May in 2025. Presently, and thanks to all the listeners, this podcast reaches across 11 countries of the world, and according to the present available listeners data, this includes a part from India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Germany, UK, Russia, Austria, Brazil, Singapore, Poland, and the USA. This in itself is a huge achievement, and I sincerely thank each and every listener from the core of my heart. Now, a little bit about the fourth season. In this season, I would like to share some very interesting narratives that I came across about teachers. And by that, I would like to travel outside the domains of school walls and explore a larger area where a person, of course, who teaches in an educational institution is of course a teacher, but also one who motivates, encourages, helps to organize your random thoughts, mentors you in difficult times, or simply inspires you to move ahead in spite of all adversities. A teacher thus transgresses any narrow definition and encompasses all of these and perhaps a lot more. While collecting these stories, each experience has been deeply heartening, and as we begin the second year of this podcast, this is a dedication to the many unsung heroes of our lives, the teachers. About the story. How Hariti became a protector of children and also a part of historical sculpture. I read this story from my book How the World Was Born, Wondrous Indian Myths and Legends by Aleph Book Company. This is the story from the Jatakas And the story of Hariti is in detail in Vinay Pitaka of the Sarvastivada School, the Mahavastu and the Samyukta Ratna Sutra of the Chinese Sutta Pitaka. The Chinese pilgrims Hiuen Tsang, who visited India in 632 CE, and I-tsing, who visited India in 673 CE, also mentioned in their writings that they saw many examples of monasteries with the presence of Hariti sculpture in both India and Nepal. Hiuen Tsang also mentions Peshawar, where a stupa was built in honor of Hariti by Emperor Ashoka, and people offered sacrifices to seek her blessings to obtain offsprings, or to seek her blessings to have children. Follows the story how Hariti became a protector of children and also a part of sculpture, from my book How the World Was Born, Wondrous Indian Myths and Legends. The story how Hariti became a protector of children and also a part of sculpture. The story speaks about Buddha narrating as a teacher and a preacher to his disciples, and it goes as once during the time of Buddha there lived a Yakshini in Rajagriha by the name Hariti, who was born so because of a wicked vow she took in her previous birth. She was married to Panchika, a Yaksha general of the Gandhara region. Hariti and Panchika had 500 children, and to feed herself and her many children, she took to cannibalism. She used to steal and devour a child every day at Rajagriha, and all the people of Rajagriha became extremely worried because of the alarming incidents taking place every night. Everyone was fearful and finally decided to approach Buddha to seek advice. Hariti came to be referred to as Hariti, that is, one who steals. Buddha listened to the worrisome people of the city and decided to pay a visit to Hariti. He came to the city of Rajagriha and went from door to door seeking alms and food. Finally, he arrived at Hariti's house. At that time, Hariti was not at home and all her children were alone. Buddha knew that the youngest child named Pingala was Hariti's favorite. Buddha hid Pingala in his begging bowl and returned back to the monastery. Hariti returned after some time and became increasingly restless upon not finding Pingala anywhere. She searched everywhere, and when still she could not find Pingala, overwhelmed with grief, Hariti started searching for Pingala everywhere. Finally, she came to Buddha and requested him to find the boy. In silence, Buddha listened to her sorrowful lamentations. Finally, when she stopped, he replied, "I have listened to you attentively. I can completely understand the grief of a mother. I will help you, but you have to promise me something." And Buddha became silent and awaited Hariti's reply. Hariti was overjoyed at the very thought of meeting her dear son once again and immediately replied,
Anything you see, my lord. The Buddha replied, You have to promise me that you will give up cannibalism forever and also follow my precepts. The Buddha was silent once again, waiting for Hariti's answer. Hariti replied, Yes, my lord, I will listen to your commands. Not only myself, but I will also make my children follow your path and your wise words. But if you permit, I have a question to ask. Please tell me what is on your mind, asked the Buddha. My lord, I know I devour children and destroy lives, but I do it, unfortunately, to sustain myself and my children. If I stop eating, how will my children and I survive? Hariti sounded worried. The Buddha replied calmly, Please do not worry about that. I will never ask anybody to give up food and to starve their children. But the way you were leading your life was proving to be extremely fatal to many other innocent lives, and that is not the correct path of life. I have ordered all the monks at the monastery to serve you abundant food for your sustenance. This will continue throughout time. You will also be remembered at every monastery. People will always talk about you as a protector of children rather than a malevolent force. Hariti bowed down in salutation and the Buddha blessed her. Soon, she met her son Pingala and she was overjoyed. But she remembered her promise to the Buddha. She became a lay worshipper to the Sangha. Buddha called all the monks and ordered them to serve Hariti food every day to sustain her children and herself. The monks followed his orders faithfully, and to this day, Hariti is seen as a reverent part of every monastery across India. In return for the services of the monks and the monasteries, Hariti and her children became the custodians of Buddhist monasteries in India, and her conversion to the faith introduced a new phase in her life. Thanks to the blessings of the Buddha, Hariti was ordained as an upasika, and from a devourer of children, she became their protector and a deity. Very soon, a popular cult grew around Hariti. Thus, Hariti's presence is seen within all monasteries across India. Her sculpture is found either in the porch or in a corner of the dining hall of all the Indian monasteries. Her sculpture depicts her carrying a baby in her arms and 3 or 5 children around her knees.